All right, so yeah, welcome to Lunch and Learn for today. We're going to go through an overview of using ScriptureForge, a little tagline there where translation and the community meet. So my name's Ira Hopkinson. I'm the project lead and project owner for ScriptureForge. And with me is Chris Hurt, who is the language software development manager here in Chiang Mai as well.
And I'm an enthusiast of promoting ScriptureForge. So here we are.
So here's our team. There's me leading and Chris at the top there. We've got Damien as our architect, and we've got several developers there and some testers. We all work in different time zones. So Damien is here with us, but Nathaniel and Nigel's in New Zealand, Nathaniel's in Indiana, Jason's in Dallas, Mark and Raymond are in Calgary, and the two testers are in India. So a lot of time zones.
Collaboration.
So what that meant for COVID is we just carried on because we'd already been doing it. So yeah.
That's right. Yeah, so I will share just briefly about the ScriptureForge project and how it got started. ScriptureForge as a concept is not new. It goes back to the end of 2013 when we were developing a tool for a seed company pilot project that aimed to crowdsource and engage the community in scripture checking, getting feedback on drafts of scripture. And so that's how ScriptureForge got started. What we'll be presenting today, and Ira will walk us through next, is essentially a complete technology, a new technology. We've rewritten ScriptureForge to be able to do certain tasks well. And so if you've heard of ScriptureForge before, it's because it's been around for a while, but we're excited to present the new ScriptureForge 3.0, which is a long time in coming.
Yeah, so Linda would have seen a presentation similar to this back at our virtual conference earlier this year, which was ScriptureForge version 2. We're going to show you a little bit more, which is now because we're now in version 3. So some of the things will be familiar and some of them will be somewhat new, but actually surprisingly the same. So some of the things that ScriptureForge can do, it's cross-platform. Obviously, it's web-based, so you can use it on different operating systems. It's designed to work on different screen sizes, so it's mobile friendly. You can use it on a tablet. Version 3 is now completely offline ready. The data all updates in real time when you are connected. It's designed to work with Paratext, so you can sync your Paratext project back and forth with ScriptureForge. So far, we have 8 languages translated for the user interface. If you would like to see it in another language, you can help us translate that or help us find somebody to translate the user interface. It has some basic left to right support. We'll continue working on that. Sorry, right to left. It already has left to right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. And you can log in with your Paratext account. You can log in with Google or Facebook or just a username and password. And it's got some good help documentation with it as well.
So if you're an Android user, yes, you can use this. If you have an iPhone, yes, you can use it. If you're on a Mac, yes, all of the platforms we're targeting.
All right. And so far there are 2 main tools. There's the community checking tool, which we're going to focus on today, where once you've connected your project in ScriptureForge, then you can post questions on selections of scripture, and that those questions can be audio or text or both. You could read the scripture portion if you want and then ask the question. Then the answers can also be posted the same way with audio and text. You can also reference bits of scripture in your answer. And then there's a liking and commenting on answers, so you can have interaction between different users as well if they want them to communicate with each other about their answers. Users can't see others' answers until they've answered it themselves. We also have the beginnings of the Translate tool. I'm not going to focus on that today, but at the moment it's already can do basic editing and drafting in ScriptureForge. It's real-time and collaborative, so think Google Docs. So you can have multiple people even on the same verse collaborating together. There's also a translation suggestions piece in there. I'm not going to talk about that at this point. So, yeah. But yeah, it's an experimental piece, and we're working from
so
here onwards.
It's something that we're not promoting publicly, but it's an experimental piece that if you are interested in that, if that's like, oh, I'm really interested in that, then you're welcome to contact Ira, and he can or myself, and we can help you get started using that. But that's not what this presentation is about.
All right. So the first 4 things are things we've done this year. We shut down the previous version of ScriptureForge in March and released the new version. You can now install the on an Android phone or even on a desktop as a native, so it looks like a native app. We'll show you that today. We'll show you some of the full offline features. We've just finished an improvement that allows us to do a whole bunch more things because it's now using the same underlying code as Paratext does. That gave us the faster synchronization, but a whole bunch of other things going forward. We're currently working on Transliterator plugin so that you can import questions from Transliterator. If you don't know what that is, it's a Paratext plugin that allows you to use all the existing questions that Transliterator has for community checking. And depending on your source, the source might be English or Spanish or whatever. They only have a few source languages, but then you can use all of the help that's already available in Paratext to start translating those questions into your vernacular language. So you'll be able to pull those in, those questions into ScriptureForge if you've done that in Transliterator and as a Paratext plugin. We'll also early next year, we'll be allowing people to share their project with people from the community. So at the moment, your project you can only share it with people in Paratext. This will allow people outside of Paratext to be able to see your project if you'd like to share it with them.
And so to be clear, when you say share your project, you're talking about the entire Paratext text. Is that
right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, yep. Yeah. And you could, if you want to, next year allow selected people to be able to add notes so as a reviewer or something. So a more generic way of reviewing things.
Right.
And we do have a roadmap.
Which you can ask.
So now we wanted to pop through some videos that describe it. So the first one it is a video that Chris has only just put together. So we're actually going to talk it through as it goes.
We'll narrate it.
Yeah, we're going to narrate this because it's not quite done. But what's going to be unremarkable about this video is that it kind of is unremarkable, but unless you notice what's actually going on, and that everything just continues to work, even though it shouldn't because it's offline. So, so it's not a spectacular video because everything just works. So anyway, so
this is exactly how community members are going to interact with ScriptureForge. So this is really the bread and butter of what if you want to know what happens when you send someone a link to engage, this is what's happening.
So I've invited Chris. There's 2 checkers, Chris, two different versions of Chris. So the first one, there's a link he's received in an email to join ScriptureForge. He clicks on the link and that opens up in his browser. And he's now going to sign up.
So I don't have a Google account.
Right. So just putting in an email and password. As it turns out, he's actually signed up before, so he actually just needs to log in rather than sign up in this case. But typically, you send someone a link and they will be a new user. So I'll need to sign up. So here we pop in and we can see the community checking tool, and we've got the book of Mark has some questions. And so now Chris is going to take the browser off, well, the whole computer offline.
Yeah, I just disconnected my wireless. Yeah. You're not connected anymore.
So this is in a browser. So as you can see, if you go somewhere else,
do a test.
It doesn't work, right? That's what you expect from a browser, but ScriptureForge is still working. Now it can, if you look in the top right-hand corner, there's a little Chris's picture there with a little cloud with a line through it, which tells you it's offline. You click on there, you can see it's offline. But you can still click around and do stuff. And so while Chris is offline, he's going to record an answer. What was John's main food? Wild honey. Okay, there's an answer.
Okay.
And he closes down the browser. Normally, if you shut a browser down, you're offline. Even if you were showing a page, it's not going to come back when you come back, but ScriptureForge does. So even if you shut it down, you're offline, everything's still functional.
Right.
So we're going to show you something similar on a phone. So this is the other checker, the second user. So Chris is getting a message here.
I'm getting a message from my friend Ira.
Right. Hey Chris, how's it going? Great. What's up, Ira? So this is Messenger. Hey, can you help me out on my checking project on ScriptureForge? And Chris says,
sure.
Okay, so I send him a link. So just like the first checker got a link via email, this one's through social media. Clicks on the link, opens it up in the browser that's part of Messenger, which means he doesn't have access to his credentials. So Chris is a clever IT person and decides to open it up in Chrome just so he doesn't have to type in new credentials. Right. Sign up with Google, he clicks on, and he's got a few options.
My account.
So you can still, you could have still done that in the browser that's part of Messenger, but he would have to have supplied a username and password for Chrome, from Google. So.
Yeah, it works fine in the.
So one thing you can do on a phone is you can install this app. So that's what Chris goes. He clicks on the thing, says add to home screen, clicks add, and it then adds an icon to your home screen, and it makes it look and feel and behave just like a native app. It's not a native app, but it behaves and feels like. So it added it to the home screen there. He's opened it up from the home screen now.
You're lagging.
Oh, there's a lag, is there? Sorry. So now Chris is going to take it offline. So same as what we did with the other checker, the second checker is now offline.
I think it will sync up actually. So.
Yeah.
So here we are in airplane mode.
Yep, we're offline, same as the other user.
Maybe we're offline for days or weeks even.
Yeah, right. Pretty sure it was honey and locust, same question.
Right. And I don't know that the other person has answered.
So he's recording an answer here.
I think it was honey
so just
and
speak that right into the phone. You can see it stores it right along with my text answer.
Yeah.
And even if you were to say close the app or turn off your phone and then come back to it later, you can just fire it right back up and you'll see your answer and audio right there.
Excuse the helicopter going overhead. All right, so now he goes back online again. And so now that he's going back online, it's connecting back to the ScriptureForge server. Okay. And it's now saving those results that were recorded offline back to the server so that other people can see them.
Right.
So now we head back to the first checker user, which was on a desktop, and he can now go back online as well. Connects up to the internet again. Wow, drives back into range of the internet, or however it was that he lost the internet. And reconnects, and now you see there's an answer from the other user, which was the longer answer with the audio, and is able to play it.
I think it was honey and locusts.
So now, if we pop back to the other user,
So back to them, and they're online, and they
but now
see-
everyone's online, so now they can see the other person's answer as well. And so click on the show one more unread answers at the bottom, and you can see the other answer from the other Chris. Two Chris's here.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of the core feature of ScriptureForge, gathering feedback and getting it. You can, if I'm not mistaken, you can configure if you want people to be able to see each other's answers.
Right.
So maybe you don't want people to interact, you just want to get answers to questions about the text.
Yep.
You can do that.
There's a setting in there that says don't allow others to see
Right.
each other's answers, and you can stop that interaction. But even if it is turned on, they don't get to see the answers until they've made an answer themselves. So they're still blind before they answer.
Yes.
So they've got an initiated response. All right. So in that one, we showed you how to connect and the progressive web app is what it's called for a user. You can actually do that on a desktop as well. So not just on a
In
phone.
Chrome, you can do it.
In Chrome and Edge, you can do it. Firefox, you can't yet. So got to log in first.
You can't do it in Safari.
Right. You can on iOS on a phone,
Okay.
but you can't. I don't think you can do it on a desktop.
Okay, so mobile Safari.
Yeah, mobile Safari is good.
So what this is showing is essentially on any platform that you have can run Chrome, Linux, Windows, Mac OS. You click on this little plus in
Up in the
the
top.
up at the top, right?
Yeah. So here's another example. Click up there on the plus, install ScriptureForge. It says click on it. It's another little window, install. And so it closes the tab that was open in the browser, which you can see on the right, and opens its own app on the left. So we close the browser down now. We've now got an icon on the desktop as well as in the taskbar. Add it to the taskbar, so we've always got it. Close it down, it's still there. You can open it back up again. So that makes it just behave a bit more like
an app.
which is so particularly, this is not so useful for a desktop user unless you're offline regularly.
Right. So
You can do it in Linux too. But,
so the
obviously on
function-
mobile, that's more important, right?
That's
Because you're
right.
offline a lot more often with the mobile device, but which is where it's really designed to shine. But yeah. And so the next video we want to show you is if you're the administrator of a Paratext project, how do you get all this set up so that people can answer questions?
Right.
Linda has seen this video before, although since Linda last watched it, we've reduced the sound volume like you suggested.
There you
So
go.
hopefully this is better.
Yeah. Like you can give us feedback on the video.
Yeah.
So this is how you take a Paratext project and actually get it ready to use the ScriptureForge. So here we go.
Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Chris Hurt and this is Ira Hopkinson. We're the co-product owners of ScriptureForge version 2, and we're happy to show you around the application today for a few minutes. And one of the great things about ScriptureForge is how seamlessly it connects to Paratext. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into Paratext and show you exactly how you will set up a community checking project in ScriptureForge. So let's start by opening up Paratext 9. Here's my project, TET Mark Chapter 1. You can see it here. And now I'm going to go ahead and open up the ScriptureForge website. You can get to it by typing into your browser beta.scriptureforge.org. So I'm going to use login with Paratext because I am a project administrator. I am in charge of this scripture checking project. Now we're ready to connect up with Paratext. When I I click on connect, I'll see a list of the Paratext projects that I'm able to connect. You'll notice that the community checking is already set up, and that's what this video is going to focus on. The process, depending upon the size of the scripture text that you already have in Paratext and send and receive, the process could take a minute or so to pull that down into your browser. I'll go ahead and click on the Book of Mark since I know there's already text available here. At this point, I can just see the text as it exists in the Paratext project. I can browse that. But we're here to to set up a community checking project. So let's do that. Ira, what's the first thing I should do to set up a community checking
We need to
project?
go to the overview page
Right.
for community checking, and we want to add a question in.
Okay. So you'll see on this bar here, this is where the community checking options kind of fall underneath here. And the overview is the first place. So we're going to click on add question. All right. Our first question is going to be for Mark chapter 1, verse 1. All right. Why do you think they called this good news? And we'll go ahead and record the audio for this question as well. Click on that. It's going to ask me to use my microphone. Why do you think they called this good news? All right. Why do you think they called this good news? Looks like I need to try again. Why do you think they called this good news? Okay. Why do you think they called this sounds good better? News? So we'll save that. So you'll see now that I've added a question. The Book of Mark shows up here on the sidebar, and we can see the first question showing up in the text. It's highlighted and underlined with a question indicator. Other things to notice on this screen, we've got the text size that we can adjust in case your Thai reading isn't, if you need a bigger font to see that. There's also an add question button right here from the chapter view. One of the feature requests that we've had as we've been developing this is this needs to be localized into various languages. So you'll notice so far we just have Spanish here in the UI, but we have several more languages that are being translated currently and will be available shortly. If I change the UI to Spanish, you'll see that these key labels and titles are all translated or localized. So that's available now. So we'll go back and continue adding questions. So in this one here, we're going to add an end reference. So this question spans 3 verses. Okay, now we're ready to share this project with our first checker. So we're going to navigate over to the settings page. And you'll see here we've got a share button or checkbox, and we can choose specific people or anyone with the link. So right now we're going to pick specific users who we want to share with. So I'll click on the users section and invite my first checker. Send them an email. All right, we can see that The invite shows up down here. And I'll invite my second checker. All right, and we will come back shortly after these checkers have filled in and answered the questions, and we'll resume from there. Okay, welcome back. We now have some answers to our questions that our two checkers have answered. So let's go ahead and take a look at those now. First question, why do you think they called this good news? So checker number one, good news is for everyone in every language. Okay, if I'd like to add a comment, maybe ask for clarification and say, yeah, or maybe affirmation. Thank you for your feedback. I can jump around either on the question list here to see answers, or I can even click on the verse where that question is appearing. So here's one. Where did John appear and start his public ministry? Can you clarify the location where John started? Why don't we go ahead and take these answers and questions, sync them back into Paratext. So in order to do that, as the administrator of this checking project, I have access to the synchronize area. So I'm ready to synchronize. Click on this. And after a minute, I should be able to pull these down into Paratext. Okay. It's successfully synchronized. I'll jump on over to Paratext here. In Paratext 9, the send and receive projects button is up here. I'll go ahead and click on send and receive. Okay, great. The send and receive is finished in Paratext 9. I can see that there were some notes added to the project, and those notes are showing up here in Paratext as little red flags. I can see both the question and the answer put here. So that's an overview of what you can do with ScriptureForge in posing questions about the text that you've drafted. You can invite people to review that text, answer the questions that you've proposed, and collect those answers as feedback back into Paratext in a seamless way. We hope you've enjoyed watching, and we'll welcome you to try out ScriptureForge at beta.scriptureforge.org.
All right. Welcome back.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of videos queued up there. Yes.
Yeah. Any questions?
So I guess a further clarification, that last video we watched was produced in January. And so there's a few minor things that have been updated. I noticed the localizations are
A bit more than 2 languages.
yeah, more than 2 languages. So just wanted to make sure that that's a little bit more mature, that you know that. But
yeah.
All right. So let's open it up to questions from, well, maybe we just conclude the presentation now. Thank you for joining us.
One thing you could do just before you close that off is
Yep.
you open a browser and just show them where they could get to these questions on the ScriptureForge.
Oh, okay, sure.
Just
Let me
briefly,
just
and
stop
then we can stop, ask for questions after that.
So let's go.
Yeah.
ScriptureForge.
So you get to the landing page of ScriptureForge. And
All right.
so if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a tells you a little bit there, but there's a bit about learn more button. If you click on that,
Okay, this one right here.
yeah. So in there, there's the video we just saw there at the
Yes.
top. If you scroll down, there's another video which we haven't shown you, but it's very similar to the offline one that we're just producing at the moment.
Right.
But it shows you a little bit more about the interaction, so you can look at that one too. It
Yes.
shows more of the commenting things.
Yeah, it's a little bit more extensive
more
in the
than-
comment.
than the offline one we just showed you.
Yeah.
But basically similar content. And then there's more further down, talks about the other tools as well. So
Yeah.
anyway, so we can
Perfect.
stop it there and open it up for questions.
Great. Thanks for watching.
Mhm.